It's finally winter, and there's a storm a-brewing. Hi Yins, how are you doing today? I hope you're all doing well. I'm Gerald, Ginger Gerald Stitcher, and welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, if you are new to my channel, welcome, and I hope you like what you see. And if you do, please make sure you hit the the thumbs up button at below and hit the subscribe button. And one more button, the bell button, the notification icon, so that you get updates whenever I do post content, so you can be the first one to be notified whenever there is a new video up on my channel. Thank you all to continuing to like and subscribe. And I say this every week, but I really do mean it and appreciate it. And as a thank you to all of my viewers and longtime friends of my channel. Just like last year, I want to rewind. Happy Groundhog's Day. Tuesday is February 2nd. And it is I don't know if it's a national holiday. It is Groundhog's Day here in the United States, in Pennsylvania specifically, where Punxsutawney Phil lives. I grew up not far from Punxsutawney and Punxsutawney Phil, and so it is a big holiday in my life. And last year I did my first ever Groundhog's Day sale in my Etsy store, and the sale is already live this year. So if you are interested in any of my patterns that are available in my Etsy store, I know many of you have recently liked the store as well as many of the patterns in the store, and you are interested in buying those. They are all 20% off currently through the end of the week. So I believe I posted it on January 29th. All the way up through Saturday, which I think is February 6th. It says in the information section on the Etsy store how long the sale is good for. No coupon code necessary. Everything is already discounted. All you have to do is go and put the items into your cart and purchase. So if you are, and it's both PDF and printed patterns. So any and everything is on sale in my store for the entire week in honor of Groundhog's Day, my second annual Groundhog's Day pattern sale. So I hope you are, if you're interested in any of my patterns, go take a look. The link will be, of course, as always, in the information section below. Thank you also for all of you who have continued to support my channel through my new Buy Me a Coffee link in my information section below. As always, that will always be in the information section. And at the end of this video, there will be a thank you to all of you who have already offered up some monetary donations through Buy Me a Coffee. So let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the, which, yeah, it's kind of like the elephant in the room. I did a thing and I got kind of sick of my beard. And maybe it is one of those things that I'm kind of cooped up and kind of losing my mind a little bit. Not really. I'm not losing my mind, people. But I did get maybe a little bit stir crazy, and I just was sitting here and I kept pulling on it and pulling on it. And so today I decided that I was going to shave before my video. So I'm not sure how I feel about it right now. I feel like I look really weird because I haven't done this in probably a year. And the fact that I'm filming on the same day that I shaved is a little, because usually I have at least a little bit of scruff, so it kind of offsets the look. I'm really clean shaven today, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. So I'll have to play around with it for a little bit. I mean, I even took off the mustache, and I really like the mustache, but I figured I had a rough week. I've been trying to wear regular clothes again and get into a routine. And I was like, well, maybe if I clean myself up and give myself a makeover, I will start to feel a little bit better. You know, all these mental game things to help get you into a different mindset. So I shaved. So we'll see how that goes. My amaryllis, as you can see, is in the video today. It'll probably be the last time this apple blossom amaryllis is in the videos this year. It is the last of the spikes is blooming. So this plant has two blooming spikes. The first one grew and bloomed pretty quickly, and the flower's already wilted. There's only one flower left on that spike, and it's in the back. It doesn't look that good. I probably need to just cut it off. Out of the garden center section, tip of the week, whenever an amaryllis bloom, just like any other flower, whenever the bloom dies off, just cut it back so that the plant doesn't continue giving it energy, and it will start storing the energy back in the bulb or other parts of the plant. So this one is looking actually really good because all the blooms on this spike opened up roughly at the same time. There's only one bloom that has not yet. So I'm really excited about this one. It's a beautiful plant. It's not, again, not my favorite of the amaryllis that I have, but it is a very pretty plant, and I'm really excited about the fact that it's just blooming in general, and it's the second year I've had it. So I will be providing tips and tricks on how to aftercare for your amaryllis if you're interested. I know there's many other channels on YouTube, but I will show you what I did with mine, and maybe you can get some ideas from that. I'm trying to think if there's any other things I need to talk about as far as, oh yeah, my intro. I said there's a storm coming. Now that could be like any number of different things, but there's literally a storm coming finally for New Jersey in winter. So now we'll see if it actually holds true, because every time they say there's a storm coming, is there really a storm coming? Because most of the time they're wrong. But because let me tell you, there's parts of the southern United States that has had more snow than I have had here in New Jersey. Now, I'm in that kind of like sweet spot, like right outside of Philadelphia, that we kind of are like nestled in the spot where we don't get a whole lot of snow in general, or at least since I've lived here for 6 years, and we kind of tend to not get a lot of snow in general, at least over the last 6 years. Now, that could be an unusual trend. However, this weekend, Monday into Tuesday, we are supposed to be getting a pretty substantial nor'easter. So we'll see if it holds true. I think they're saying, did I hear 6 to 8 inches for my region, my little area? Now, of course, that can always change. I'm filming this weekend on Saturday just because it's working out best for me. So instead of on Sunday. So we still have 24, 48 hours before it really hits to see what really holds true. So I will let you know next week what we end up getting. But I know my mom and brother, who live in the South, have had more snow than I have. My friends who live in Virginia have had more snow than I've had this year so far, which, granted, typically I'm not complaining. But if it's going to be this massively cold, which it has been extremely cold this weekend, I would like to see some snow. Anywho, luckily I don't have to be going out other than to get the mail. But let's go ahead and talk about knitting. So I kind of fell off the knitting bus a little bit. I did not touch my blanket again because I'm really trying to knock out these other projects that I'm working on first, and then I'll touch that blanket and get it done. I do want to get that blanket done. However, the very first thing I did was I continued working on my sock that I started last week, and I finished it. So here is this is a Patton's Croy sock yarn that I bought at Joann Fabrics, I believe. And I bought two 50 gram, are they 50 gram balls? This is a different color, but you can get it's Patton's Croy sock yarn. Yeah, 50 gram balls. So I have two 50 gram balls of this color. I forget what the color is called. I threw the ball band away already. And I finished that sock in I started Saturday and I finished Monday. Women's socks go much, much quicker, especially whenever it's just a vanilla sock or a stockinette stitch sock, than socks my size. So this is a toe up vanilla, or, you know, a very basic sock. I did a toe up rounded heel. I did stockinette stitched foot. I did my German short row heel that I like to stitch. I did a basic, I think I did 12 rounds of stockinette for the foot or for the leg, and then I did a 2x2 rib for the cuff. And there is sock number 1. So after I did sock number 1, I think I took 1 day off from sock knitting, and then I decided to cast on sock number 2. And I think I did that on Wednesday, and I finished it on Friday. Or maybe Thursday. I think I finished the sock on Thursday. So again, toe up, same exact way. I tried to get them to match, but sometimes I have a hard time getting the Patton's Croy sock yarns to match. It did really well up until here, and then all of a sudden, my yarn balls switched, and I don't know what happened. So from here on, they're different, but that's all right. I think they look great. I have a matching pair, and they'll be nice for a gift. So that is a pair of socks done. I did them in roughly, so if you put it all together, roughly 4 days of sock knitting. I get many questions on my sock blockers. I don't actually block the socks. I use these really to show you guys, to put them on for better video filming purposes. But it does help whenever I knit a pair of socks, like for myself. These are the mediums that I have. I bought them on Etsy from Woodico. 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 They come from Europe. So if you're in the United States or Canada and you're hoping for something real quick, they did take a while to get here, but they are a really nice quality laminate type wood sock blocker. So I have the medium for like a woman's foot, and then I have the extra large for socks around my size. So as you can see, the difference in sizes comparatively. But I really enjoyed knitting these. It was a nice change up from the rib sock that I did before, and it will be nice to work on more socks. I'm really, like I said in previous videos, I'm really enjoying using up the materials that I have in stash that are just sitting around that have been accumulating for a while. So this is sock yarn that I probably had for a year or so. So it's nice to use up and have it out of my stash. So I have a few more color. I think I have 2 more colors of Patton's Croy that I'm planning on trying to use up this winter. We'll talk more about plans in the future in another segment. So then I went ahead and pulled out my Eco Plus Hemp Rocky Mountain Shawl. So that's what it will look like when it's finished. This is a fingering weight. It's a fingering weight lace shawl. So it's lace work using fingering weight yarn. I'm not using the called for yarn. I'm using a Knit Picks palette yarn. That's, I did find that picture in the pattern. That's what it will look like all stretched out when it's blocked. Again, I'm using I used the, and I don't remember the knit colors anymore. I've been talking about it for so long. The green and then the cream stone color. Again, the stone color is done now, and I'm just finishing up that last section of lace. And the rows are so long, I've definitely gotten that I hear so much on other knitting podcasts / yarn channels, knitting channels. I definitely have gotten to the point where I am now having like that end of shawl project fatigue. So I'm not done yet. I was hoping to be done, but the socks kind of got the best of me. Plus the fact that it takes so long to do one of these rows, because there's like 400 stitches on this row, that I can only do like 4 rows at a time. So I have, let me think here. I have 4 more rows of the lace work to do. So there's the lace work that I'm working on right now. And then I have another 4 rows of just regular stockinette stitch. And then I have another 4 rows. I have to do another set of eyelet garter eyelet stitches, and then I'll be done. So I keep saying this every week. I'm really hoping I can knock this out this week. So we will see. This is gonna be my goal now for my knitting. We'll talk about plans in the future. So that is all I've gotten done with knitting this week. So not a whole lot of knitting, but I did do an entire pair of socks. So that's exciting. So with that, I hope you will enjoy this next segment of Gardening with Ginger Gerald while I clean up my mess and get ready for cross stitch. Today we're going to talk about soil. So I get many questions about what type of soil I use for my plants. And first off, let's just say about the fact that I have often been known to call it dirt, and I've been corrected. And I've had some people ask me what kind of dirt I use. So I just want to make sure that when we talk about plants, we don't talk about dirt, we talk about soil. And the reason is because soil is the medium in which our plants grow. It has all the nutrients and, you know, just like how we need nutrients and vitamins to grow, our plants do as well. And so, you know, soil is technically the correct term that we need to use. So, you know, in all honesty, I'm kind of frugal and lazy when it comes to the soil that I use, but it also works for me. So I really, you know, stress that for you that are either starting out, or are well established and are thinking that maybe you aren't using the right kind of soil, I think you need to play around and see what works for you. So I use Miracle-Gro, and by the way, I do not get any kind of promotional considerations or freebies or anything like that. This is what works for me. I buy my materials, but this is the type of material that I use for the potting mix for my plants. So I use two different kinds for the plants that I have. I use the moisture control potting mix for the main types of plants that I have, as far as like my amaryllis, my roses, anything that is not a succulent or cactus citrus plant, like my lemons. So for the lemons and the citrus and the cactus, I also use Miracle-Gro, but I use the Miracle-Gro citrus and succulent mix. It's like an orange bag that says succulent and citrus, or maybe it says cactus and succulent. I'm not sure exactly what it says. But those are what I use for those plants. I actually ran out of that. And but basically, find what works best for you. I know some people don't like using the Miracle-Gro brand just because it has chemicals in it. I do fertilize my plants with, non-organic materials. So, you have to find what works best for you and what works best for you in your philosophy of care as well. So, Miracle-Gro is an inexpensive brand that I can buy at the box stores here. And, for the amount of gardening that I do and the types of gardening that I do, it works for me. So that is the types of soil that I use for my plants. I don't get fancy and mix my own, but you can. There are different techniques out there that you can definitely mix different soils and mediums together, sand and rocks and pebbles and all kinds of different stuff, perlite, different things to help produce better quality mixtures for your plants. I don't do any of that. One, I don't have the space for storage as well as just the workspace to be able to make that kind of material. And two, I'm lazy. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, definitely don't hesitate to put them in the comment section below. And I'm always looking for new material to film in these little clips. So ask your questions away in the comment section below, and we will see you in the next gardening section. Let's talk about some cross stitch. So I think cross stitch took a little bit more dominance this week than my knitting did, unlike previous weeks that we have that I've filmed this year. So I'm still kind of going all over the place with my stitching, which is perfectly fine, even though I have kind of set into a little bit of a rhythm, I think. And I think that's good. So while I'm still kind of lost a bit, and I know last week I had talked a little bit about the fact that I'm feeling lost, and I want to stress that I don't think it's a bad thing. And I really do appreciate all of your comments and suggestions and votes of confidence in the fact that, this is just a transitional phase. And I do truly think that that's what it is. I think it's just one of those phases where it's a growing phase. And it's a growing phase in my craft. And I think many of us have gone through that in the past. And this is a time for me to explore and learn more about what I enjoy and maybe I'm growing and I'm going in a different direction and I'm going to enjoy something different for a while, and that's a good thing. So I definitely don't think it's a bad thing. And I'm really enjoying what I'm doing right now. And I'm really enjoying just looking and exploring and every once in a while purchasing. But I'm fine with where I'm at right now. And as much as I say that, I have started to fall into a little bit of a stitching rhythm, as you'll see whenever I show my progress today. So the very first thing I did this week as I was stitching was I pulled out my last Summer House Stitch Works Fragments in Time 2017. This is number 8. And this is the last one I had to do. Now, most of these took a day or two at most for me to stitch, a few hours. This one was very dense in its stitching. So we had the deer, we had all of the grass and the hillside below, as well as this flower that it started over here and it wrapped up around and over the deer. Very, very dense, very stitch heavy compared to the others. Nothing wrong with that, but it took me 3 days to stitch. And that could have been because, one, it was dense, but also it was just, I was having one of those weeks where things were just slower. I wasn't feeling all that great. And so I just took my time. So again, while I'm using similar colors, I did convert my own to, I did my own color conversion with what I had of color and cotton threads. So I'm using color and cotton threads for everything except for the called for endive by Gentle Arts. So there's 4 of the colors. And then the blue and the gray are also color and cotton. So they are color, and I don't know if these colors are still available or not. I got them in the packs whenever I was a member of the color Floss of the Month. So Maritime, Succulent, Verbena, Golden Mum, Dried Sage, and then Endive for the Gentle Arts. Now I can put these away because this project is now fully finished. I even ironed it. So here is all 8 in its glory. So there are the 8 all together. So I just need to cut them apart and finish them up. So here is the one that I did this week, the deer. Now I'm going to tell you there is a mistake, and I don't know how I made the mistake. Excuse me, but there is a mistake in the deer. But it turned out well. So I'm not going to tell you where it's at, but there's a mistake. But that's number 8. This is number 7. My dandelion with the mustache. I think that's number 6. Yeah, number 6. Number 5. Number 4. Number 3. Number 2. And number 1. So I have all 8 done. Oh, this is on a 40 count XJU Designs fabric called Mushroom. And I stitched the designs 1 over 1. I'm sorry, 1 over 2. So 1 strand of the color and cotton threads over 2 strands of the linen. So there's the deer. So it's a 40 count linen. So I'm going to finish these as smalls. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to finish them as smalls. I know, so I don't know if I'm going to use a pillow finish or if I'm going to do a like an ornament style finish. I'm not sure yet. So that's why I have not cut them yet. I'm really just waiting until I have the urge to do like a finishing day and I have plenty of things to finish. Because I have to be in the mood to do that. But I will be using this piece of, and somehow in my finishing, because I got the urge to stitch these based on whenever my friend Yvonne, Night Owl Stitcher, was stitching these up. So I got them, I bought the patterns because of that. And then she had gifted me this piece of, is it flannel? No, wool. This piece of wool. And I think this will match really well together with the designs. So that is what I'm going to do. So that is a finish. I've even been, I'm telling you, I don't know if I talked about this last week or not, but I have even been tracking my progress on, not like how many stitches or anything, but my starts and finishes on a spreadsheet. I might have said that last week. I don't remember. Next up, I worked on the small that I showed you of my, and I didn't bring the pattern, but this is a pattern of small Pincushion Birds from Modern Folk Embroidery that I bought a few years ago. It's a PDF pattern and I didn't print off the cover sheet. I'm doing this, these are the smalls that I'm doing from on scrap fabric. So this is the one I did before. So that's the one I did before. And I went ahead and finished up, oh, this is 39 count Mirren linen called Moon from XJU Designs. I'm stitching these 1 over 2 using dried leaves from XJU Designs. It's her over-dyed variegated floss. I don't know if this color is still available or not. I bought this probably 3 or 4 years ago. I have this in one of my new Mama Joan, made by Mama Joan bags. So here is my finish of the newer one that I did. So a little bit of change on this one. So I went ahead and stitched, this is called 3 birds, I think. So of course there's 3 birds. There is supposed to be like a heart or something right here. Instead of putting the heart, I just put the year that I finished it. I didn't really care for that heart thing. It was it didn't really fit with my style. And so I figured I would just stitch the year. So there we go. So that is finish number 2 of those 4. I don't know if I'm going to do the other 2 or not. I'm kind of getting tired of stitching one over, or in hand, to be honest, right now. So I'm not going to tear this bag apart with the the materials because I still have those other scraps. I have this piece in here still that I haven't decided what I'm going to stitch on yet. And I have 2 more pieces of the mirror and linen. Now, I don't think either of those other 2 designs, one might fit on this one. I don't think either of the 2 will fit on this small piece. But I have 2 more pieces of the mirror and linen that I can use. I don't want to throw this away because they're still decent sized scraps that I can use for something. So whenever I get the urge to finish these or stitch another one, I have it all kitted up together and I can stitch them whenever I want. So I think for now, this is going to be put away into, it's just going to be put away for now. But the option's available. And then last, no, not last. The last stitching of the week that I actually stitched on was my Heaven and Earth designs. If you follow me on Instagram, go check me out on Instagram at ginger.gerald.stitcher. I post fairly frequently this year so far on there, so you can check me out. I did post a progress pic of this design on there. I am stitching. This is called Harbor Lights by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artwork is by John Bradley. Unfortunately, this design is no longer available on Heaven and Earth Designs, but I did hear that you can buy it somewhere else, but I don't remember where. I remember hearing it posted. Tilton Crafts, I think, maybe. So this is Harbor Lights. I love. What drew me to this design is that building right there, the cathedral-esque type building, which could also be like a college building. I don't know what it is. And then I also really like this building right here. I love the shadowing off of the reflection off of the water. I don't know what harbor this is. I do believe it is a harbor in Australia because John Bradley is an Australian artist. So if any of you know where this is or what town this is, if it is a real town, I would love to hear. I've had some questions as to what harbor this is. So I will say that I'm working up here in this top corner and I've already started hitting the top of this little tower type thing. The colors are different than what I thought it was going to be. I really like it, but the colors are slightly different. So here is my progress. I'm stitching this on 28 count Lugana 1/1 full X. So full cross 1/1 using the called for DMC on 28 count Lugana. So it's going to be slightly smaller than the dimensions that the pattern set calls for. The dimensions say that it's going to be 25 inches wide by 16 and 5/8 inches high. So I think it turns out to be like 23 inches by 15 inches on 28 instead of 25. So I have this on an Omnic frame. These are frames that you can buy from Estonia. I bought mine 4 years ago, back in 2016. It took them quite a while to get to me. However, I did have a friend that just ordered his right after Christmas and he already got his and he lives in Philadelphia. So if you're interested in them, I highly recommend them. I think they're great frames and they work well on my Lowry stand because I use the Lowry large frame adapter piece. So here is, enough said, here is my progress on my Heaven and Earth Designs piece. So again, it is a lot of dark colors right now because I'm up in those clouds. There we go. But you can see here is the top of that tower that I was speaking of. So again, it's still kind of dark. It's a lot darker than what I thought it was going to be. But I'm really looking forward to getting more progress on this. So I started stitching this. This was my New Year's new start. And New Year's Day, new start for 2021. And I was really gung-ho to get this started, and then I lost steam very quickly. And it could have been because I wasn't feeling well with COVID, who knows? Or it was just I wasn't in the right frame of mind to be stitching on full coverage yet. But once I pulled this out the other day, I then started to really gain steam again. So since then, this is now actually, this is the bottom of page 1, and then everything underneath my finger and below is page 2. So I've actually been working down into page 2. I do not use Pattern Keeper. I use Easy PDF on my iPad because I do not have a Android-based system to put Pattern Keeper on, and I'm fine with that. So here is, again, my progress. So I just have a little bit, I've really been excited to fill in all the dots that I had up here that I needed to fill back in. I love whenever I can start working on a full coverage piece and I start filling in, like I get the framework of the page done because I do cross country. I don't do parking or anything like that. Here's the back of my work, and it's going to be upside down, but here's the back. It's kind of messy, but not that bad. Yes, I have knots, and I don't pull them out. I don't really care. If I get a knot and it's something that I cannot get fixed easily, I just leave it in. I don't have, because it's such a large piece, it's not gonna know. There's so many knots and issues on the back of Henry and no one can tell. And he looks amazing up there. Again, this is the large frame adapter for the Lowry stand. What you do is you clamp the Lowry to this piece of the large frame adapter, and then it holds your stand up. Now, because this one is so long, it does tend to lean down a little bit, but I just prop the other end up with some pillows and I'm good. And as I move down the project, you slide this down and then you get more balance. And it works really well. So that is my Heaven and Earth design, full coverage piece. So I'm really excited. I was hoping to get a page finish before the end of January. That was kind of like my internal personal goal, but then I lost steam on it real quick, and then I pulled it back out and I'm like, oh, maybe I can get it done. I don't think it's gonna get done. But because I have all of this done down here below on the second page, I'm kind of close to a page finish with, you know, even though it's not an official page finish. So I'm really pleased with the progress that I've gotten done in a month. On top of all the other progress that I've made throughout the month, with the amount of finishes that I've had, even though they're small finishes, and all the other progress that I've made. So I'm really pleased with that progress. I know this is going to be a long-term project. I know it's going to take me a few years. Henry took me 2.5 years to stitch because I can't monogamously stitch on a Heaven and Earth design or a full coverage piece. So I'm in it for the long haul. I'm in it for the long haul. It's here to stay. It's going to fall down. Let me fix that. And we're just going to keep at it, and it'll get done when it gets done. And I'm going to enjoy the process while I'm at it. And I'm really looking forward to getting farther down the row. And I'm not sure if I'm going to go, I'm not sure how I'm going to work across it because I have enough room that I can do 2 pages and then keep going. I think I'm going to do 2 pages and then move down the page. One, it won't be forcing me to do all of those same colors over again on the next page over. I'm going to go down and then be able to work in some different colors for a while. And then I can move the large frame adapter and get some more balance on my stand. Because I'm also kind of holding off. I really don't want to get to this building right away. Because I know once I get to that building, I'm going to be kind of depressed once it's stitched. Because whenever I stitched Henry's face so soon, and then I had to come down into the shirt and those sleeves, and that was such a pain to stitch, and I lost so much momentum. So, and this is my favorite part, and I really want to enjoy stitching that. So we'll see. Last thing I did this week, and it's not actual stitching, but it's stitching related. And I know many of you have done this before. I have done something similar to this, but I've done some tweaking. And so I wanted to talk about it. So this could technically go in plans, but it's not plans because I actually did some work on something. So this is a future project that I want to stitch. I'm not ready to stitch on it yet. I thought maybe I was going to start it this week, but then I decided not to because I pulled out my full coverage piece. So this is Little House Needleworks Coming to America. And initially I thought I was going to stitch it on this fabric called I think it's Mushroom. Just Mushroom Lugana by Zweigart. It's a 28 count. The pattern actually calls for 32. I was going to stitch it on a 28 count Mushroom Lugana. But if you look, the pattern looks, it's a little bit more orangey peach. And this is very earthy brown. And while I often don't go for what the pattern calls for, this isn't really quite what I was hoping for either. And I didn't want to have to buy a piece of fabric for something like this that isn't really up my alley as far as stitching, but something I wanted to stitch. So I got the urge one night after work that I was going to do some coffee dipping. So I coffee soaked, I took a piece of this same exact fabric because I'm like, well, the mushroom is kind of a good base of color to start off of. So I cut a piece of the Mushroom Lugana that I wanted to, that was the right size. So I cut the fabric, I pulled out my sewing machine and zigzagged the edges. I also zigzagged the edges for all of my beer steins while I had the machine out because I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I might as well do this for all the pieces that I have cut so far. I should have cut or zigzagged the edges on this too, and I didn't. Oh well. But, so this is the original. I then took the piece of fabric, I soaked it in the coffee for, well, I wet the fabric after I zigzagged it, completely soaked the fabric in water, wringed it out, and then I immersed it in coffee, just extra coffee I had from the day. Regular, I think I made Folger's Classic brew. I put it in a glass bowl, immersed it, and let it soak for 30 minutes. I then pulled it out, wrung it out, kind of rinsed it out because I didn't want this coffee to bleed. Like if I pulled, you know, I wanted to get the excess coffee out. And then I realized that it wasn't really mottled. It was just all over the same color. It was a really pretty color, but it wasn't the color that I wanted. And I was like, well, what am I gonna do? And let me tell you, my brain was not functioning, firing on all cylinders. I still have a little bit of COVID fog, brain fog. I was like, well, what can I do? What can I do? And then all of a sudden I turned around and I saw there was an oven. I'm like, oh, I can bake it. So I pulled out my cookie sheet, I crinkled it up a little bit, I turned the oven on to 400. I don't know if that's the right temperature. I don't know what I'm doing. I just turned it on to 400. I was like, that's a good number. And I put it on the baked cookie sheet and I baked it for 5 minutes. I don't know if that's the right length of time. I just guessed. So I timed it for 5 minutes. I pulled it out and it was kind of nice, but it still really wasn't modeled the way I wanted it to be. So I pulled out my silicone basting brush, like the brush that you use to brush olive oil on chicken or butter on your turkey or whatever you want to use. And I took the coffee, because luckily I didn't dump out the coffee, and I dunked the brush into the coffee, and I like splattered it on the fabric. I brushed it on in spots. I really doused it on in spots. I, you know, shook it off onto spots, and then I put it back in the oven, and I baked it for 7 minutes, which I think was a little bit too long. But I'm really pleased with the results. And if any of you, I know there's plenty of other tutorials out there on YouTube, but if any of you are interested in me showing you what I did to get this, I would be glad to film a future video on how I did this. So here is the result of my fabric. So that is what I'm going to use for, let me put something behind it so you cannot see through. So that is what I'm going to use for Coming to America. So it's a really nice kind of parchment-y. I think the color looks great because with the base of the mushroom. So that is the side that I'm going to use. Now, the side that I'm not going to use, because I baked it a little bit too long, kind of burned to the pan. But, oh well. So that is my baking or coffee dyeing and baking tutorial experiment. So really pleased with how that turned out. I was also told by a friend that if you crinkle up aluminum foil and put that underneath the fabric, then you're not going to get the burn marks that I got. But there is my result. I am really pleased with how this turned out for the very first time. Now, I know some people say that coffee is acidic and you shouldn't really use coffee because if it's an heirloom piece. Listen, none of my pieces are going to be heirlooms. I don't have people that I'm going to be passing my, as of now, 2021, I have no one I'm passing any of my pieces, including Henry, off onto as, you know, as an inheritance. You know, Henry was stretched and stapled at Hobby Lobby. He's not properly stretched and laced according to a professional official ways of framing. I do what is best for me, and if this isn't what's good for you, then, you know, don't do it. But if this is something that you're interested in, you know, it's a great technique to get something different. And I was just looking for something different. So there's my result. So I'm really pleased with that. So someday soon I will stitch up Coming to America on this piece of fabric. Still haven't decided my colors yet because I'm gonna do my own color conversion. So I'm going to clean up my cross stitching stuff here. I'm gonna gather up my purchases and my plans for the coming week, and then we will check back in just a second. Let's talk about some purchases that I have received in the mail and purchased out because I'm able to go out. So last week, my doctor said that I am not contagious anymore. So I am allowed to go out into the community. I'm just not allowed to go to work yet. So I'm still working from home, but I did go I did go to the mall one evening this week just to walk because the doctor wants me to get out and walk more, and I can't really walk in my home because I only have a small apartment. So my friend and I went to the mall one evening, and there's a Michael's attached to the mall. So I did go to the mall, and I wanted to purchase some DMC for two things. That railroad crossing guard sign that I stitched back in December. I still haven't finished it yet, but I wanted to get, and I'm picking up what I'm going to show you here. So I needed to get some DMC, and I probably bought way too much DMC for it, but at least I'll have it because it's basic colors. But I got, I got DMC white and black so that I can make cording, because I'm planning on making that into a soft finish. I'm not exactly sure yet how, but I knew I wanted to have white and black for the cording. I'm gonna do cording for around the edge. So I don't have any white or black in stash, or at least enough to make the cording. So I wanted to buy enough. So I think I bought 6 of each. So I have it. And I mean, we all use plenty of white and black. So 310 DMC. So that will come in handy at some point, even if I don't use it all for the cording. So I have that. Then I went ahead and bought, because I was there, and Michael's actually has a better selection of the Etoile than Joann's does. So I just picked up 3 random colors just so I have them in case I ever want to sub them out. So I got a dark, like midnight blue, which is 823. I picked up royal blue 820. And then I got 814. So I just got 3 random colors that I thought maybe I would use in the future, or maybe used for designing purposes. And then I'll put them in my my DMC box, and that way I'll have them in case I decide to sub them out for something, or use them to sub a color out, because they had them and it was, you know, just, it kind of caught my eye. And then the last, what is that one there? Oh yeah. And then I also grabbed another skein of DMC of each of the 2 colors that I'm using for the castles that I'm going to show you here in a second. And then I got a whole bunch of 221. And I'll explain that in a minute. Then the only thing I got in the mail this week was that last month, I've been watching a lot of knitting videos, and many people that I've been watching have joined the happy hour mystery yarn of the month club, whatever you want to call it. I forget what they're called, but it's called happy hours. So each month it's a different skein of yarn based on a cocktail of, you know, a cocktail. So the colorway of the skein is based on the color of that cocktail. And then you also get the recipe for the cocktail. So I have never been a person that typically likes to get mystery things, because I'm one of those people that I need to know what I'm getting, and I like to pick out the things that I like. And I'm very, very particular in what I pick out. But I was like, why not? I also think it's a great way for me to venture out and try different things that I would typically not gravitate towards. And this is a perfect example. So this is Trilogy Yarns Happy Hour Club. And so I got my first skein. So this is the February yarn of the month for that happy hour club. I believe it's the February one. And the color this month, now, does this look like a Gerald purchase? No. But I love this. And the reason I love it is because I would never, ever even think to buy something like this. But I definitely see myself knitting up a pair of socks using this. So this is an 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. Now, I've also never had an MCN merino, cashmere, nylon based yarn before, so it's super soft. I've never had that, so it's going to be a lot of fun to knit up with, knit a pair of socks with. I know what I'm going to use this for. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, I knew exactly what I was going to use this for. Can't talk about that right now because it will be a gift. And it's going to be a lot of fun to just, it's, for me, like, I was really anxious to open it up, but also really excited. And then whenever I saw it, and I was like, well, that's not what I would buy. But then it dawned on me that, you know, it's great because I would never buy this color. I wouldn't. But I love knitting for gifts. 99%, I don't want to say 99. I would say 70% of what I knit, I gift away. I give away. And so the fact that I'm able to get something, buy something that I didn't pick out, that I know somebody in my life will love, and I don't have to stress about the colors because you know me and I love my golds and browns and greens and mustards. And this is nothing like that. So I really enjoyed getting that this time. Now, fabrics for cross stitch, I don't think I can, I don't think I'd be able to handle that. I need to know what I'm getting. All right, so let's talk about plans. So my plans for the upcoming week. I have a couple plans. I'm definitely going to hope I get my shawl done. That is my main plan of the week. My main plan is to get the shawl done. I'm going to work on it after I get this filming done. But I'm not going to make any guarantees, but that is my main set in stone. I really want to get that shawl done. However, there's some other things that I'm definitely going to work on as well. I love how I contradict myself. I'm going to cast on some socks. And yes, I mean plural. So I'm going to, like I said earlier, I have Patton's Croy sock yarn that I want to use up. I have this Patton's Croy sock yarn, even though they look completely different. They're the same colorway color lot or dye lot. So this is Patton's Croy in Clover. I think it's called Clover. Clover Colors. So again, I bought this last year at Joann's when they were having a sale. I have a pair of socks in the same color. So these are going to be a gift. I have a pair that are short socks, ankle socks, just like I made that other pair. I'm going to make these also up into short ankle socks. So they should not take horribly long to make. I don't know if I'll get the entire pair done, especially since I'm going to knit, also start another pair of socks. But again, these are going to be ankle socks, toe up, just like I did the other, the pink pair that I finished this week. Then I'm going to start these. This is a 50-gram balls of, or cakes of Stroll Gradient from Knit Picks. This is Knit Picks Duo and Stroll Gradient, and this is called Rocket Ship. And so this is a gradient sock yarn that I am going to knit a pair of socks up for myself. And of course, because black and green, or black and yellow, I think there is a little bit of green in here as the yellow goes into the gray, which I'm totally in for. I'll dig that as well. So this is going to be my, for me as well. I'm going to start the toe in the black and work the yellow up, work up to the yellow for the leg of the sock. Again, these are going to be toe up. These are going to be until the yarn runs out. So they're going to be like calf high. And I'm going to use up as much yarn as I possibly can. So this is going to be a cast on as well. I don't know how much of these I will get done. And this is going to be just a basic, simple sock as well. Like vanilla, you know, very basic sock. Nothing fancy with this sock. So both of those are going to be fancy or basic socks. I just want to have some enjoyable basic socks to knit since I'm working on that shawl that is like the bane of my existence right now. Then I'm also planning, because again, I'm also trying to use up my yarn. I have my cottons that I'm trying to use up. So I am going to cast on one of these colors of yarn that I have. I also have these two cakes. So, and I'm going to make at least one more dishcloth. Those are going to be my plans for knitting. For stitching, Heaven and Earth is going to go away for a little bit. I'm done with Heaven and Earth for a little bit. I think I'm going to work on something else that may come out later in the week, but right now I want to work on something else. So I'm going to pull out my castle design. Again, this is on a Silk Weaver solo dye 28 count linen. And I'm using the number 29 DMC, so the newer DMCs. This is a monochrome color design. And so I really just want to get another side of the border done. Another side of the outside border done. That's my goal. I'm not super rushed on getting these done. I just want to work on it. So, you know, if I get more done on it and I want to continue working on it, great. But my goal is to get another side of the border done. Then I think I'm going to have a new start. And my new start is going to be on my crazy chromatic alchemy fabric. And I found the design that I'm going to use. So, and that is what I'm going to use my DMC 221 for. So I have searched high and low, and I appreciate all of your support in helping me decide what I'm going to do. But I have found that's the color that I'm going to do. It's going to be a monochrome design. So, and I am going to insert the picture of the design here. So it is a Busby Designs design. I've never stitched one of his designs before. Many of you know him from the Medicine Doctor, right? Is that what it's called? Medicine Doctor, the one, the beak mask doctor thing that many of you, many stitched a few years ago. I'm going to stitch the octopus with the anchor on this fabric. I think it's going to look great. I think in a lot of ways it's going to look like the octopus has squirted ink. And so I think it's going to look just like an undersea with some ink squirted out by the octopus. I've watched many documentaries on giant octopi, and they are of this similar tone and color, as well as if you think about a anchor rusting, it would be, you know, this color kind of in a lot of ways. So I think it really will do well on this. So we're going to give it a try and see what happens. So that is going to be my new start on the Chromatic Alchemy fabric. And then we're going to go from there. And I don't know what else is going to get done. But that is going to be my projected plans for the coming week. So I wish you all creativity and lots of fun and luck in the coming week. I hope you all have a great start to February. Happy Groundhog's Day. If you are in the region that's going to get blasted by the snowstorm that's coming, safe travels if you have to travel in it. Enjoy the snow if you like the snow. If you don't like the snow, that sucks. I'm kind of in the middle where I'm kind of looking forward to the snow just because we haven't really had any. We have not had any that's lasted more than an hour. So I'm looking forward to some that maybe will last a day. but then I wanted to go away. So enjoy it while we have it, because spring's around the corner. Because Groundhog Phil, Punxsutawney Phil, will hopefully announce that spring is around the corner. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful start to February. And until we see each other again, always create those things that you wish that you saw in the world, as I do all the time and I enjoy doing and encourage you to do as well. And as always, don't forget to always be creative.